Couch in space!
Oh, look, it's a couch.
Looks comfortable.
And it's in space.
Cool.
Couch in space!
Twinkle, twinkle, little star,
That's me.
how I wonder what you are.
That's me.
Up above the world so high,
That's me.
like a diamond in the sky.
Also me.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star,
That's me.
how I wonder what you are.
That's me, everyone.
Yay! We
You get a clap for that,
Oh, you
Danny.
gotta
You
do
get
it.
a clap for that. Thank you for that
We
introduction.
finally have a real star on the show.
Yeah, I mean, it is Couch in Space.
It
You
is.
need some real
Yep,
stars.
so we need some
I don't
real
know
stars.
what a real star is. But
I'm here with Star Kata, Tangata Pacifica reporter extraordinaire, radio producer extraordinaire, Pacific Island ambassador extraordinaire.
wow.
She's been there, done that twice, and now she's here. You've reached the pinnacle, the heights.
I've reached the height of my career on Couch in Space. Thank you very much, Danny, for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome
for-
to be here.
Well, you were recommended by my partner, Sarah.
I'm
she-
so honoured
she
about
said
that.
she'll be great on Couch in Space, so
Aw.
don't let her down.
I won't. The pressure is on. But thank you very much. It's so nice. Thank you for welcoming me.
Yes. So I have a lot of guests here that I know from the television industry and the media and so forth, and
Yeah.
you are no exception. And I always like to know how you got into it,
Yeah.
and also what made you get into media and film.
Oh,
and
yeah.
TV.
I'm going to have to take you way back now. But I got into the media industry in my first year out of university.
Yep.
So that was in 2000 and, oh gosh, like 4 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago now. Because I started studying and then I took a break and then I went back and finished it. And then I did my honours year as well after that and got to study overseas, which was awesome. But the reason why I got into the media industry is because I love storytelling. That's
Right.
basically why I loved filmmaking and I loved documentaries and I loved everything about the media.
Yeah.
And then I thought, actually, where is a place or what's a career that I get to talk to people and tell their stories? And so journalism was
Well, it was
the
a very
obvious
natural progression, wasn't it?
yeah, it was the obvious choice for me. That's
Yeah.
what I loved. But I did love other things before journalism.
Yes.
I know we'll get to that, but that is exactly why I'm here.
Right.
And I'm so lucky that I get to do it for my Pacific Island community as well.
Yeah.
That's a huge plus because not many of us, not many journalism graduates anyway, get a shot at having a job like this on TV or radio. So I'm
Yes.
very, very lucky to be where I am.
And
yeah.
to make a living out of it too, you know.
Absolutely,
A lot
yeah.
of people seem to have podcasts and
That's
you know,
right.
websites, but yeah, you're actually a voice. You have a voice, and you've got a
Exactly.
platform to express that voice.
Absolutely, which I take very, very seriously. It's a huge responsibility,
Yeah.
but I love doing it. You know,
Yeah.
it's we're advocates for our community, so that feels very, very important, and we don't sort of take it lightly.
No, that's
Yeah.
right. And you telling me earlier that you really love theatre. You come
Yeah.
from a theatrical background.
Yes, yeah,
Never would have guessed that one. Okay.
yeah.
You're so
I love.
quiet and unassuming.
Yeah, I know. I'd sit in my own little corner doing nothing. But I love performing arts was a huge thing for me growing up, or just like in the family, but also around friends and sort of in school. I loved performing on stage. Stage was like my first love. I loved theatre, singing, acting, dancing, all of it.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to be an actress, but a stage actress. I really
Right.
wanted to be on Broadway. That was like my dream when I was younger.
What is it about, I guess, the ideal that Broadway represents?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, I know.
What is that? A big stage, a big spotlight just on you with a massive audience, fancy costumes? What is it about that really attracts you or attracted you to that?
I think it's the ability to be someone else for a bit.
Okay,
That
yeah.
is sort of the love of theatre for me. I love, you know, because as an actor, you're playing different people, you know what I
Yes.
mean? But
Yeah,
you take
yeah.
what you've experienced in your life and put it into the character somehow. And I love the
Yes.
complicatedness of that. And for me, that's really
Why?
cool
Okay.
that you...
Why is it complicated?
Because sometimes it's like, it can be really personal, do you know what I
Yes.
mean? So playing another character, you have to know that character inside and out. I'm talking like I'm an actual actor, but I'm not.
No,
it's just
but
things that I've experienced because I love it so
yeah.
much. But you have to know that character inside and out to be able to do a convincing job,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I love that complicated process of delving into a character, jumping out of your own skin and going into something completely different, or something that could be really like similar to you as well, which is a different thing and could be, you know, a different experience again. So I love that whole process, but I also love working on stage because it's really exciting, it's all live, but feeding off other people as well.
Yes.
It's not just me, it's your whole cast, the whole ensemble. I love that kind of idea of working together, collaborative with other people and creating something that you didn't expect or creating something that's bigger than all of you. Like I love theatre so much, as you can tell. Yeah.
And now you're in television.
Yeah, but you like theatre as well?
I do like theatre.
Yeah.
I dabbled a little bit in it. I took part in just Shakespeare in the Park, just in Takapuna.
Oh, that's awesome. I
did
love
did a
that.
few stints there.
Yeah.
And just really just for the experience and also the collaboration of it. To be honest, acting wasn't really my thing.
Yeah.
But I did love the behind the scenes where the costumes are made, where the sets are made, and even providing the soundscape. So on a couple of the productions, I basically went from on stage just behind and just recorded music for it and
that's
sound
amazing,
effects
yeah.
and sound design for the whole thing.
Yes.
And basically helped out with the audio-visual side of things. And I found that one really rewarding too.
That's cool,
On one of
yeah.
them, I actually played a minstrel
Right.
as an actor
Yes.
throughout the whole show. So as things were
Wow.
happening, I basically fed off the actors
Oh, I
as they were
see.
acting on the stage.
That's clever.
So if it was, you know, a suspenseful scene, it's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doo.
Wow.
If it was like a romance thing, you know,
Yeah.
just some nice doom 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 as
Exactly.
the actors. And one of the best things that happened was the actors actually started feeding off the music and vice versa.
Isn't that cool?
So
And
they
that's
had
the
the
beauty of
beats
it.
of the music.
Yeah.
That's how they delivered their lines,
Yeah.
and it just all came together into something really beautiful.
Yeah, the beauty of theatre is that live aspect and feeding off each other. You can't really get that in any other medium. You can do it on live TV, but when it's in theatre, it's performance, it's drama.
it
Do you know what I
is.
mean? It's like...
That's
yeah,
why I
love
asked
it
you
so much.
about the actors or the acting side of it.
Yeah.
Because we are bombarded with the media and actors, and
Sure.
everyone has an opinion. Oh, he's a shit actor, or
Yeah.
you know, he's better or she's better than the others.
Right.
And I think it's really hard to distinguish who the actor is and who their character is.
Characters, yeah.
And if you're not into acting or you don't know the process of acting,
Right.
it's actually really complicated, like you say.
yeah, it is complicated.
Half of it is you and half of it is the character.
Exactly.
And that relationship can be really difficult to actually
That's
manage
right.
and do.
Sometimes it
Even
doesn't
just to let
work and you
go.
can't... Yeah, that's right.
And let the character take you over,
Yeah.
or the character can't take you over, and
No.
you act like this.
Yeah, exactly. And
Watch out.
and you can tell that everything is put on, you know, or
Yeah.
like the words you're saying don't make sense or don't resonate as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, I love that complicated stuff about theatre. I think that's what
Yeah.
makes it awesome and
So
beautiful.
theatre, bubbling away, and then
Yeah.
you said, okay, I had enough of theatre.
Yeah.
Tell us your journey from that and how you ended up in television.
So, very, very fortunate to meet the people that I did along my way, especially while studying. I worked so I did my honours degree, journalism honours degree at Auckland University of Technology, AUT. Shout out to AUT, all the alumni there, which we have a lot of working in our office at the moment.
Who are you talking to, by the way?
Yeah, I'm
We're
talking...
in space and there's no
Oh,
one
I'm
here.
talking to that star and that moon over there, our audience.
There's a dog floating around somewhere too, I
Yeah,
think.
that's right. Yeah. Oh, there she is. Yeah. So yeah, I did my honours year, and I got to study and got a scholarship to go to Denmark to study there for 6 months.
Wow, in Denmark.
At of all places, at a broadcasting school in a place called Aarhus, which is where all the it's the student town.
So they speak English there, or do you
They
know
do
how to
speak. They do speak English
Denmarkish?
there. Yeah.
That's the language
Danish.
they speak. Not Denmarkish.
Or Danmarkish. Yes.
Danmarkish.
Okay then.
I speak fluent Danmarkish. Why am I
Danish is
sitting on a
one-
ball?
Yeah. What's that doing in space?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Danish language is so
Yeah.
it's so hard to learn,
Right.
but they do speak English there. That's like Danish and English is like 50-50 for them. So
Oh, okay.
so they all speak English anyway. So when I studied there for 6 months, which was awesome because it was all broadcasting, so no theory.
Right.
We literally every day you get to go to the classroom, pick up a camera, and go out and shoot something.
fantastic.
So that was like a dream for us,
Wow.
learning on the go. And we had the most amazing teachers. All our teachers were like documentary makers and
Oh, okay.
had been journalists for years and things like that. So that was
Yeah.
awesome. And just experiencing what it was like to be media in Europe was like just a huge learning curve for all of us, really.
Is it different?
Yeah, I would say it's more intense.
Really?
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of a lot more processes that you have to go through if you want to film things and if you want to film documentaries and stuff, yeah. We did a documentary, our final assignment, on human trafficking, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we
Gee,
chose a huge...
Gee, that's a light subject.
We had met this lady who takes in sort of night workers and tries to get them out of their situation, tries to transition them into a sort of normal life or a normal society and
Okay.
get them sort of normal 9-to-5 jobs,
Yes.
so that they don't have to do that, right? And so we just fell in love with her story and why she does what she does. And it's all out of her own house as well. So we
Wow.
were like, you know what? We're going to take a camera, follow you around for a couple of nights and see what we get. And yeah, we managed to get some really, really good stuff.
Wow.
Good testimonies, some of which were sort of blacked out for their own
Yeah. as you need to.
privacy. But yeah, just learning like that, like I wouldn't really get those opportunities if you were sitting in a classroom or something like that. So that was...
Is that
yeah.
what turned you into, I guess, having these humanitarian leanings
Absolutely.
towards, you know?
That's absolutely right. I
yeah.
thought, okay, I need to do more stories based on people and their
Yeah.
hardships or... Yeah, I love telling the harder stories.
Yes,
like the
okay.
stories I do here at Kata Pasifika are normally about housing stories or homelessness or financial capability.
Yeah.
You know, the meatier issues that we need to talk about a lot more. And so I love doing stories like that and putting a human spin to them as well.
Yeah. And is
yeah.
it rewarding? I guess it would be incredibly rewarding. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of feedback do you get from people that you do
Yeah.
stories on?
Yeah, it's a mix of feedback because a lot of them don't want to tell their stories because it puts them
But
in
how
a real
brave
vulnerable...
are they that
Absolutely.
they just decide to do so? I'm
Yeah.
always amazed at people that
Same.
can do that, open their worlds
Yeah.
up to be,
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a
Absolutely.
lot of work as well because you've got to build that trust with them before you get to tell their story or before you put them on camera and get them to be open and vulnerable and just
Yeah.
sort of shed everything, you know what I mean? So, no, they're incredibly brave for telling their stories. I interviewed a lady recently who almost lost her house because she was in debt from buying from these mobile trucks that we have sort of all around, or mostly around South Auckland, but they are spread around all of Auckland. And so for her to actually say she was in debt and almost lost her house on
Right.
camera was a huge thing for her. But from that, other people who have come and said, hey, I experienced the same thing, where do I get help? And that's what you
Right,
need.
yes.
It's a way
Talk
of
about it.
helping others because they see someone else talking about it. They're like, if they can get help, so can I.
Yes.
So it's really important to put that visual to a story like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing I really am curious about, and I want to ask you, being a reporter and being on the other side of the lens, basically, and you're asking people to, you know, talk about personal issues. The art of listening, you know, in a world where it's all about me.
Yeah.
Did you learn to listen, or are you a natural listener? Talk about that.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing because it's something that if you are in the media industry, you are a journalist, you absolutely have to learn it.
Yes.
It's like essential to our job for a number of reasons, but mainly because you really are trying to give that person as big a platform as they can to tell their story.
Right.
And you want them to tell it as authentically to them as
Yes.
possible without yourself getting in the way.
Yeah.
No matter what your intentions are. Like you could be just wanting to get more out of them, and so you rush into a question, but you want them to have as much time to answer those questions or to tell the story they want to tell
Yeah.
it. Do you know what I mean? And so I had to learn earlier on. I mean, it wasn't because I didn't want to listen. It's not normally because of that, but it's more you're just so excited to get to the gist of the story, and you've got all these questions, and you're sitting there with this person, and you think, right, I'm going to direct this, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, right.
But sometimes you have to let them direct it
Right,
and let
yes.
their answers take the lead, if that makes sense. So that's why listening is so important. When you and then you find out the more you listen, the better their answers are, and
Yes.
the better your story is going to be, or the better. Not just your story, but the better it's going to come across to other people listening
Yes.
as well.
I guess it's because it's more real, isn't it? If
Exactly.
they're telling it how they feel, their pace. And how do you start your questioning off? I guess you don't start with a hard-hitting question as such. Do you ask questions that beat around the bush, so to speak? Is that what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have this thing called, I don't have this thing, I don't know if other journalists do it, I don't even know if any of our journalists
Surely everyone
do it.
has their little tricks.
Yeah, but I have this thing that's like it's like a bell curve kind of thing.
Okay.
So I start with like, what's your name, and you know what you do, and then I go into you know, questions like, okay, how did this start for you, or whatever, if we're talking about a certain issue,
Yes.
and then I build it up, and that way they warm up to your questions, they become a little bit more open, a little bit more chattier, and so when you do hit them with the hard-hitting questions, it's not like straight off the bat, they've already
Yes.
warmed into it, and then it's sort of the warm down after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a warming down period as well.
Yeah, because if it's a really difficult question and they're finding it hard to answer it, or if it's like a subject matter that's not too comfortable, that they're not comfortable with, then you've got to have some follow-up questions to kind of bring them out of that, if that makes sense.
So you don't just,
Yeah.
as soon as you see the tears, right, we've got the tears,
Yeah, no.
we're out of here.
Yeah, I
And then
normally
do-
ask, at the end of the interview, ask questions, so where to from here?
Yes.
What are you going to do next? Or what is the future going to be like for you? Something to end it out, so it's not just like, what happened to you on this day, and then ending the interview.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but the art of listening, I think, is such an interesting topic, and it's something that I'm still learning from it as
Yes.
well. But
think-
even in your job, like
Yeah.
you have to do that.
Well,
That's
you're
something-
interpreting other people's ideas, basically. So for people that don't know, video editor is really where I started everything. But yeah, when you're talking to a director or producer or reporter and you're compiling a story, you have to listen. You definitely have to listen to what their intentions are, and then you have to listen to what the footage that you dealt with as well, and you string that together into something that resembles what they intended in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, listening is a tough one, and not many people like to listen. To be honest, it's actually very difficult to listen, and you have to be very patient to listen.
Yes.
And sometimes you just can't be bothered listening, and
Yeah.
you know, or you just want to get to the next bit, or even worse, you ask a question, and while someone is talking, you're not listening. You're thinking of the
thinking of
next
next.
question, or you're listening to them, finding that bit to base the next question
That's
on,
right.
which is not really listening either. You know, you
No.
can tell when people, okay, okay, you finished now. Okay, my next question is, and I think I'm still learning that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I get it right, sometimes I can't. I don't get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm guilty of everything that you just said. But and that's
honest.
all part of
But
the
at least
learning.
we're aware of it.
Yeah,
Hey.
exactly. Yeah. And people can always tell when you're really listening and when you're
I think
fake
so.
listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I have really learned. I know when someone is fake listening.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's the biggest turn off, because I actually stop. I just, they're not
Yeah.
listening. Or then I'll just, okay, no.
Yeah.
Then I ask them a question. How was that? Or do you want to know any more?
And they're
You
like,
know?
You're like, forget about it.
Yeah.
Bye. You're
So
not my friend anymore.
Listening,
No.
people, that's the big
Yes,
one.
That's the key.
And especially in this day and age where depression is such a huge issue, isn't it?
Exactly.
People they're more connected than ever, and they're more lonely than ever.
That's right.
And unfortunately, the more connected you are, the more you see their Facebook version
Yeah.
of themselves, and you never really get to know someone on a deeper level.
It's sad, yeah.
It is, and then that that link is kind of missing,
That's
then
right.
all of a sudden you hear things of suicide.
Exactly.
But they were perfectly fine, you know.
Yeah.
You don't see the signs. You don't
No.
see the signs outside so much.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what I've really noticed lately too.
Yeah, it's a huge
shame.
facade, right?
It is, yeah.
Especially with social media.
People are huge facadists.
Yeah.
Here's another word I made up.
Very good. I love that. I'm
Facadists.
going to use that.
Yes. Yeah, I was just talking about it with some colleagues yesterday, and you never know what
No,
goes on
you
in
never
another person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
Unless you take the time to sit down and
Absolutely.
talk about it and talk it through.
unless you put them on a couch,
yeah,
in
space. Exactly.
eye to eye contact,
That's right.
you never get to know the real person.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
unedited.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why I do this, because, you know, yes, it's only 20 minutes or so, but it's 20 minutes of someone real.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ironically, it's a couch in space, the most unreal situation, but the connection between two people is real.
Yes,
and that's really what I'm
exactly.
exploring with this.
That's cool. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I do, and it gives me an excuse just to actually sit down and talk to people
Yeah.
for 20 minutes. 'Cause
Which
everyone's-
not a lot of people get to do, either they're too
No.
busy or they're on their phones or, you know, what have you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And thank you for turning your phone off.
Oh, absolutely.
I've turned
I
my
had
phone
to.
off. And, yeah, I know. It's like... how
I am
old-
slightly nervous, but
Are-
no,
are
just
you?
kidding. I'm not.
Now's not the time to get nervous because it's nearly finished. So.
But to answer your question before, how I came into journalism, so did that whole degree, and then after that I worked for a place called the Pacific Media Centre, which is linked to AUT, and that's where I sort of got my first job. I was editor at Pacific Media Centre,
Yeah.
and that's like an online website that talks about Pacific issues,
Oh,
all
okay.
types of issues around the region.
Yes.
So that was sort of my first real job there for a year, and then I started here at Tangata Pacifica.
My goodness.
Which I'm really lucky that they offered me a job and offered me a place to come and work. Exactly.
You guys are a lovely bunch of people to work with.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're my neighbours. It's actually
Yeah.
really good. And we have a lot of
Aw.
fun, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Too much fun sometimes, and not
Don't
enough
tell the
work being
bosses.
done. That's okay. We like to have a dance every now and then. You have
Yeah,
to.
you have
You
to.
have to have fun. You've got to turn the music up and just.
Absolutely.
Have a break
And
sometimes,
we do
yeah.
love our music around here, that's
We
for sure.
do.
And I'm glad for it.
Yeah.
So, where does radio fit in?
Oh, so radio. I started a radio job producing at Radio 531 PI just
Yes.
this year.
Okay, right.
And so I do the radios in the morning from
Yeah.
5 to 10 a.m. Yay! And then after that, I come straight here to this office and work on Tangata Pacifica.
Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, the radio is full on, different pace again, but I love it so much. It's such a...
And you do it every morning?
Every morning,
Wow.
yeah, 5 days a week, yeah, Monday to Friday, and it's awesome because you feel so. It's, you know, radio is always constantly updating itself, and so
Yes.
you're right in the thick of the news world. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
As it happens, you're right there, and so that's what I love. That excitement. I love that
Yeah.
exciting side of it, but sometimes it can get a bit full on, and you have to
Right.
juggle so many things at one time. But yeah.
So you've got a pretty, I guess, a fluid schedule. So if something comes up that's more important, you pretty much put in a different order? Is that what you mean by that?
I can do that. Like I've
Yeah.
got a fluid enough schedule where I can change things around, but I'm lucky enough to work with people who are very understanding.
Okay.
That makes the difference as well. But yeah, I think I manage.
Yeah.
Do I manage,
think
Jenny?
well, you must do.
Am I managing?
Well, if you manage to bring our show to air
Yeah.
5 days
Yeah.
a week, then I think you're managing bloody well.
Yeah.
So well done.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, it's awesome.
radio, I guess with all these other different media outlets out there,
Yeah.
is it dying?
I had this conversation with someone the other day, actually. We were talking about, because there's a few changes happening in the radio industry in general,
Yes.
but I would say not, but I have a very particular view of radio because I work for a Pacific Island radio
Okay.
station.
Yeah.
And our radio station has served our Pacific Island communities who don't speak English as their first language since it started. And so we're always going to have that particular audience.
Right.
So I don't think it's ever going to die out. But I think what is changing is there needs to be more collaboration between the digital
Yes.
and what's happening on the airwaves, you know,
Yes.
traditional radio.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing a lot more of that happening. Sometimes it doesn't work and there's a disconnect, but it's about you know what it is about? It's the generational
Yes.
gap. It's the traditional radio listeners versus this new age of this new generation
Yes.
who everything is digital for them.
Yes.
The way they download music, the way they watch TV, it's all digital. And so just getting that link right is where it's all going to happen.
I think everyone's struggling linking everything together.
Yeah,
aren't they?
it is. Yeah, it is a struggle,
mean,
even on our show as well. Yeah.
Isn't it funny though? You've got like radio stations and radio programs that have a video feed, so they become a
that's
program.
Exactly.
You can then cut it up to be the podcast
Yes,
as well.
that's right.
So it's one event in all these different medias.
Forms,
so
exactly. Yeah.
I guess we're going to see in the future that it's not just one format. You know, one format is 3 or 4 different formats, isn't
That's
it?
right.
Like the Space and Couch. Well, you don't need to see us sitting here.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just listen to it as
Yeah,
a podcast
exactly.
because
Yeah.
it's an information based.
Yeah.
So, but
Like the AM show, you know, they do
yeah.
the TV, but then they're also on radio, and then you can go check out their interviews on Facebook later. You know, that kind of thing.
But the problem with that kind of show is it looks like a newsroom, you know?
Yeah.
And
It is.
I mean, some people might like that. They might think, oh, that's interesting to look at. Or is it interesting to, I mean, is it interesting to see someone talking to a microphone?
Yeah, that's right. And why is that interesting for people
Yeah.
to watch? What? Yeah.
Is that an industry thing or is
Yeah, I
that,
don't
do
know.
people react to that? I mean, if you put a camera into your radio show, you know, do you do that?
We
you
do. We
stream it?
go on Facebook Live.
Okay.
So yeah, we go live on Facebook, and I would say we get more engagement on Facebook than we do
Right.
get people call in.
Yes.
That kind of thing, and it's just because it's just
Yeah.
for one reason or the other, everybody's on their phones, I guess, and they just they get a notification every time somebody that page goes live. So
Yeah.
it's just easy for them to click in and watch.
Right.
Yeah, but it's scary and exciting at the same time.
It is, because
what's
no one
happening.
knows where it's going to go.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah. if
We
it-
could all be broadcasting like us from space in the next year or
Well,
so.
everyone can do this.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone
exactly.
can broadcast. You know, if you have a camera or
Everyone
phone.
can have a couch in space.
Yeah. Hey, actually, no, they
No,
can't.
no.
Come on.
No,
this
not
is one
everyone can
good-looking
have a couch
couch,
in space.
and look at the backdrop here. You know, not everyone can create a logo
No,
like that. you know.
exactly.
Yeah.
That is just first class.
Don't
right
cheapen
there.
up the show, okay? It's already cheap enough. Well, it's been awesome to talk to you, Star.
Likewise,
again,
Danny.
the time just rattles off.
I
Have we
know.
covered? Have we missed anything?
No, I think that's it. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to know about me?
You do like singing.
Oh, I do. Yes, I love singing. Yeah.
If you were not in the television industry,
Oh, right.
or what would you be doing if you weren't doing currently what you're doing?
Definitely performing arts. Definitely
Performing
on
arts.
Broadway.
And you also mentioned earlier documentaries,
Oh,
Like-
yes.
and I'm keen to explore that a little bit
Yeah.
because documentaries is interesting. As I was growing up, I always hated
Yeah.
documentaries. Too
Oh,
real,
right.
boring. It's human
Oh,
stories.
I see.
As I get older, I'm starting to understand the world a little bit more,
Yeah.
and the whole world does evolve around people.
Yes.
And how people perceive the world.
Yeah.
And this is what I found fascinating is how you see the world is totally different to how I see the world.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think you can always learn something from a different perspective. And yet we are mirrors for each other.
Yeah, that's
but we're
right.
also the opposite of a mirror, you know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
showing us what we would never even look at,
Yeah.
even see.
That's right.
And I guess documentaries is that where you go explore something. What is it for you? What draws you to documentaries?
Yeah, it's a way into someone else's life or an issue that you would never know about. And it's just that insight that I really love. But I also am I just love learning stuff and I just love educating myself about stuff and I would just I can watch anything and be amazed by it as long as it's got a personal story to it and somebody's giving me their insight into like their life or a particular issue that they're advocating or whatever. I'm just so interested in other people. I
Yes.
think that's the draw for me.
Yeah.
I don't think I can't think of any documentary that I wouldn't watch, like on any, well, obviously there are some boundaries, but
Yeah.
I just love I can sit there for a day and just
Really?
watch documentary after documentary.
Oh yeah, I can't,
Yeah,
I can't do that.
And
but-
I know. Well, yeah.
I do like my
actually
escapism.
can't do that, but I
But you
would.
say you do
if
that.
I had time, I would definitely do
But
that.
wouldn't that be great to have the time to shoot something
Yes, that's right.
and really investigate a subject?
Yeah, I love
would
it.
be amazing.
I mean, the stuff that we get to do is very short. It's
Yes.
it's like a short snap. It's not even a window into somebody's life. It's like a short second into somebody's life. So to be able to have the luxury to have that time to explore something over an hour, oh gosh, that's a dream.
Yeah.
For like storytellers like us, that's a dream to be able to
Could
do
you
that.
not slowly weave that into your current job?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess we are making mini
Yeah.
documentaries here. But
Could
I
you
could
shoot
do,
little segments that are part of a whole bigger exploration
absolutely,
or
yeah,
something?
I could do that,
You
definitely.
could do that. So
Let's
this
do that
time
now.
next year, starting now, this time next year,
yeah.
you'll be back on the couch talking about the documentary that you started today.
Yeah, exactly. And the Couch in Space 1 year on
1 year on.
episode.
Back to the future.
yeah, yeah,
Ooh.
that's cool.
Space-time
I like that.
Continuum.
Yes,
Ooh,
then
that's
we'll be talking
freaky.
about the documentary I made. Yeah,
But
the
that's
pressure's
awesome.
on. I only have a year.
Yeah,
that's fine.
that's right. Hey, I'd love to have you back on the show too.
Yes, that would be
sometime.
awesome.
And we can talk forever about music and
Yeah.
television and everything like
Gosh,
that.
we're just getting started.
I know. I'm not at that point where I can do 3-hour-long podcasts and things like that. But it is really nice to talk to people, sit them
Yeah.
down, and relate to them on a nice personal level.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for
Well,
coming
thank
on
you,
the show.
Danny,
Thank
and
you
well
for being
done.
in space.
Congratulations. Thank you, Space,
Yes.
planets and stars for
And
listening.
there's our starman over there,
yeah,
ignoring
our star,
us.
Who's floating
Floating by.
in space.
looking
Oh.
at the clock counting upwards. One day
Short
we
name.
will reveal this mystery person
Oh,
behind the camera.
I just
One
said his
day.
name.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
I've said Nate before.
Oh,
That's
okay, but nobody
it's-
knows who
no,
that
no,
is.
he's no idea.
It could be
He's wearing a spacesuit. They won't recognise him.
Nate Dogg for all we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you, Danny, and thank
And-
you, everyone.
Okay. See you again next time. Bye.
Couch in Space!